Yesterday we were talking about the other empty middle way schools. And so of the three types of middle way schools, there are the autonomists, the consequentialists, and the other empty. So yesterday we were talking about the other empty schools. And so following this in the text, there come a lot of quotations. And so there are quotations from the sutras, quotations from the treatises, quotations from songs, and so forth. And these are all supporting the points that have already been made. There's really nothing new in them that needs describing, and so I think if I don't go through them all in detail, it is okay. So for that reason, I think we will move on to the description of the tantras, of the views of the tantras, which will start on page 12. But before talking about that, yesterday there actually was really good questions. A question about space, and space is filled with the dark matter and all this inanimate stuff. And so the question is, where is mind? Where is the consciousness? Where is the Dharma expanse? Is it behind it? How is it? And I gave a very brief answer to this question, and I thought that it would be good to explain it in a little bit more detail. So it's like when we say, when we think about the expanse, we wonder, well, is the Dharma expanse, is that somehow outside of space? Is it inside space? How do these two relate? And the answer I gave yesterday, the short answer I gave yesterday, is that it's sort of behind it, or it's sort of tucked inside or behind it someplace. And so when we say that it's behind it, if we give an analogy for this, it's like someone is in bed sleeping and having a dream. And in the dream, they go to this big hotel. There's a fancy restaurant in the hotel, and there's a place they can go dancing. And they go and they have a big meal, and they go dancing and all this stuff. Well, where is this person actually staying? Well, they're having the dream, but actually they're at home in their little bedroom, tucked in their little bed with a nice comfy blanket on top of them. And so they're tucked in bed and have this little bed, and then they're having this dream, and in the dream there's the hotel. So in comparison to the hotel, where is the bed? Is the bedroom inside the hotel? Is it outside the hotel? Well, it's sort of behind the hotel, They go to the hotel, they're having this huge meal and this great thing, they're going out dancing and having all sorts of fun, but actually their body's just right back there in bed, covered by a nice little blanket, tucked in all sweetly inside there. And so where is it? Where is the bedroom? Is the bedroom inside the hotel, or is it outside the hotel? It's sort of behind the hotel. So as it says on page 12, section B, the secret mantra Vajrayana, which takes the path as result. So the secret mantra Vajrayana, which takes the path as result, here this is primarily talking about how when we have the view of the sutras, this is taking the cause as the result. We do meditation in the sutra tradition. We look for the essence of the Dharma nature. We accumulate merit through doing that. We do our practice. And so practicing in that way is taking the cause, the vehicle of characteristics, which takes the cause as the path. But the secret mantra Vajrayana takes the result as the path. And so we meditate upon ourselves as the result, the body of the deity. We meditate upon the Dharma nature. And in this way, we meditate upon the result of the path. So how is it that the secret mantra of Vajrayana first appeared? Well, when in terms of the Tibetan scriptures, there are what we call the Kanjur, the translated words of the Buddha. And in the Kanjur, there are basically two sections. The first of these sections is the sutras, and the second section is the tantras. And so among the the tantras as secret mantras. Some of the tantras were taught by the Buddha in his actual form. Some were taught by emanations of the Buddha. There are various different manners in which they were taught, and so each different sutra has its own different way that it was taught. And so all of these are explained within the tantras of the secret mantra of Vajrayana. And then the meaning of these tantras was explained by the great practitioners in their songs, their doha songs, in their instructions, in their explanations of these. And so in this way, so now we still do the practice of the secret mantra of Vajrayana. Now, here, as it says here, there are two different types of tantras. There are the outer tantras and there are the inner tantras. Now, when we say the outer tantras, these are considered the three lower tantras. These are the tantras in which we do not visualize our own body as the body of the deity. We do not look for the body of the deity within our own body, but rather we look outside of ourselves for the body of the deity. We think that the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas appear as the embodiment of the wisdom deities. They appear in these forms in the pure realms. And so we visualize these pure forms of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas in the pure realms. We visualize them in front of us. They can all see us with their wisdom eyes, and so if we pray to them, if we make aspirations to them, then we can accomplish the Dharma. And so in this way, we visualize the deity as being outside of ourselves. We do not visualize our own body as being the body of the deity, as being the deity. And so in this way, we visualize the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas outside of ourselves as not being our own form, but being outside of ourselves. We pray to them. We make aspirations. We make offerings. We sing their praises, and in this way, we request their blessings. And so these are the practices of the three outer tantras. And the three outer tantras are the action or the kriya tantra, the conduct or the charya tantra, and the yoga tantra. So these are the three: the action or kriya tantra, the conduct or charya tantra, and the yoga tantra. So these are the three outer tantras. And so now, among our sangha, there are a couple or a few of these practices that we do, but by and large, we do not really do these practices of the three outer tantras. The main practices that we do come from the inner tantras. So they come from the inner tantras. They're the practices of the inner tantras, the practices of Mahamudra and Dzogchen. So how is it that we do the meditation in the inner tantras? Well, in the inner tantras, we do not look for the body of the deity outside of ourselves anywhere. We look for, we see our own body, the inside, we look internally at our own body as the body of the deity. So these are the three inner tantras. So are the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas the embodiment of the wisdom? Do they see us? Yes, they do. But when we want to receive the blessings ourselves, we do not look for them outside. Rather, we realize that we have the Buddha nature present within ourselves. And because the Buddha nature is present within ourselves, if we think to ourselves, I am the body of the deity. So if we just think I am the body of the deity, then because of that, we're also able to have the appearances of the pure realms and the pure bodies. And so in that way, we visualize ourselves as the body of the deity. We do the self-visualization of ourselves as the deity. So we don't think to ourselves, oh, I'm this poor person, I live in samsara, I'm really bad off, I'm such a terrible person. We don't think of ourselves like that. Rather, if we keep on thinking of ourselves as being bad off and terrible people, we're going to to continue being bad off and terrible people for a long time. And so rather we think, hey, I'm pretty good. I'm the body of the deity. My body is the essence of the body of the deity. And then if we think in that way, then the wisdom is able to appear within this. And so we visualize ourselves as the body of the deity. And so this is the teachings of the three inner tantras. So we don't really practice the three outer tantras so much. So there are some brief descriptions in here, but we'll just put them aside for now. And we'll skip to page 13. On page 13, there are the three inner tantras. And it says, the three inner tantras assert that both the essence and the nature are the deity. The first of these is the Mahayoga, the creation stage. And so here, we visualize ourselves as the body of the deity. We do a self-visualization of ourselves as the body of the deity, whether this be the deities, the 5 Buddhas of the 5 families, the 5 female Buddhas, the wrathful deities, or the peaceful deities. We visualize ourselves as being the essence of the deity. And so this explains that the 7 ultimate riches are spontaneously present as a svabhavaka kaya, and that the energy and appearance of all relative phenomena abide as the essence of the deity, fulfilling the 3 seats. And so this divides them by their isolate, but their essences are not separate. In other words, this divides them by how we think of them, but the essence of them is the same. And so when we say this, when we are visualizing ourselves as the deity, it's something that we actually have from the very beginning. We have primordially been the deity. So we have had this nature, this essence from the beginning. This is the nature of the Dharma expanse. This is what we call, what we come to understand through the consequentialist school as being emptiness. What we come to understand through the Shentong, the other empty school, as being the aspect of clear wisdom. That is the essence of the Buddha nature. And so how is that with us? This is something that has been with us from the very beginning. We have been from the very beginning, we have been pure. We visualize ourselves as the nature of the deity that is pure from the beginning. And so we visualize ourselves as that, we meditate upon that, and this is the practice of the 3 inner tantras, the Mahayoga Tantra, the Anuyoga Tantra, and the Ati Yoga Tantra. So these are the 3 inner tantras, the Mahayoga, the Anuyoga, and the Ati Yoga. And so in the Mahayoga Tantra, the main practice is the creation phase, the visualization creation phase of this. And in this creation phase, we visualize ourselves as the deity, and we primarily visualize the deity. We do a self-visualization of our self-visualization. So what is the essence of our visualization? It is visualizing ourselves as the deity. And so we generate that visualization and we meditate upon the creation phase. Now, when we are doing the visualizations of the creation stage, our visualization needs to be clear, stable, and we need to remember purity. So there are these 3 characteristics that we need. The first of them is clarity. The second of them is stable pride. And the third is remembering purity. And so the first of these 3 characteristics is the clarity of the step of visualization. The clarity of this. So we visualize ourselves and we think, I am the deity, and we visualize ourselves, we visualize all the ornaments, all the robes, we visualize the body color, we visualize the articles that we are holding. If we visualize ourselves as a peaceful deity, as an antidote to hatred, as an antidote to desire and ignorance, and we visualize ourselves as wrathful deities as an antidote for hatred and anger and jealousy. And so we visualize ourselves in this way. We think ourselves as this pure form. We think, I am the body of the deity. And so we visualize all of the ornaments, all the robes, all the accoutrements of the deity, in the pure realm, the palaces of the deity, as clearly as we can. We visualize these mentally as clearly as we can. And so that is the clarity, the clear aspect of the creation phase. The first character of the visual of the creation stage. And then we come to the second characteristic of this, and this is called the stable pride. Now, generally, the feeling we have is like, okay, I'm not really the Yidam deity, but I'm just thinking of myself as the Yidam deity. We have this, I'm just thinking of myself as being this Yidam deity. So this is actually a conception that we have to get rid of. We have to discard that. We have to think, I am the deity whom I'm meditating. I actually am the body of the deity. I actually am the mind of the deity. We should not think that I'm meditating upon myself as being something that I'm really not. That's not how we think. If we think that, we need to think that we are meditating upon ourselves as we are. We are thinking of ourselves as we actually are. And when we have that stable pride thinking, I really am the deity, that belief and confidence in that, then that is what we call the stable pride.
Tene tatela sumbaga ondusina takpa temba sungi warela.
The third characteristic is the recollection of the purity. And so when we're visualizing ourselves as the deity and we think to ourselves, I actually am the deity, that is the stable pride. And then we're visualizing ourselves. We visualize our body color, the color of the deity. We visualize the ornaments, the articles we are holding, and so forth. And when we visualize these, we don't see these as being impure things. We don't think, oh, it's made out of dirt, stone, metal, or anything like that. We think of it as being clear and empty, like a rainbow in the sky. So it is clear in that there is the color, there is the shape, but the essence of it is empty, like a rainbow in the sky. So it is the union of clarity and emptiness, like a rainbow in the sky. So we don't think of it as being impure. We think of it as being the embodiment of as wisdom. And when we have the real confidence in that, that is called recalling the purity. And so these are the three characteristics which our creation phase meditations should have. So as it continues here in the middle of the second paragraph on page 13, this establishes the superior indivisible two truths as the great Dharmakaya. And so we establish the superior, the indivisible two truths, the indivisibility of the relative and of the ultimate as the great Dharmakaya. We establish it, we internalize it, so that all that appears is taken as the path of the creation stage, so that everything that appears in the form of the body, speech, and mind of the Buddha. We visualize everything, we meditate upon everything as the body, speech, and mind of the Buddha. It explains that all impure perceptions of attributes must be purified. So all impure perceptions of attributes, these means all of our conceptions and all of our thoughts, this is what will purify all of those conceptions. And through doing this, through doing this creation phase, we will then be able to attain the result. Now, when we do the meditations of the creation phase, there are generally three types of objects on which we do these meditations, and these are what we call the three roots. The root of blessings, the Lama, the root of accomplishment, the Yidam deity, and the root of activity, the Dharma protectors. And so when we talk about the root of blessings, well, what are blessings? Well, when we think about blessings, the word for blessing, jin la, means the power to change a mind. So it's the power to change a mind. So this is the power of the Dharma. It is the power of the Dharma. Often we think of blessings and we think that there's something, we're going to receive the blessings and then we're going to start trembling and we're going to see all sorts of visions and miraculous appearances. But that's not really what we mean. Those aren't the blessings of the Dharma. Instead, the blessings of the Dharma are when we naturally begin to have a more stable faith, when we begin to have more stable devotion, more stable belief in the Dharma, through that we are able to subdue a little bit the afflictions in our mind, and then our mind becomes more tamed and peaceful. And then because of this, the visualizations of the creation, the pure, the clear perceptions of the creation phase will grow stronger and stronger. So that is the power of the blessings. And so we say the root of these blessings is the Dharma. But normally when we think about it, we say, come on, okay, the blessings of the Dharma, they really come down to the Buddha, don't they? They don't really come down to the Lama. The blessings of the Dharma must come down to the Buddha. And when we think about that, of course the blessings do come down to the Buddha ultimately. But in the secret mantra Vajrayana, we often say that the Lama is equal to the Buddha, or we say that the Lama is superior to the Buddha. And we do say this. So what is the reason why we do this? When we look at it in this way, how can that work out? We look at it carefully and we don't see it like that. The Buddha has all these magnificent qualities of body, speech, and mind. And we look at the Lama, and the Lama doesn't have the 32 major marks, and he doesn't have the 80 minor marks. He doesn't have the 60 attributes of the speech and all the qualities of the Buddha's mind. And so how is it that we see this? The Lama appears as a human. And when the Lama appears as a human, sometimes we might see some faults. We might not see any qualities there as the human, since they're human. And so does this mean that we should say, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to see any faults where there are faults. I'm going to see qualities where there aren't any qualities, really? That's not what we need to do. We don't need to pretend that there are no faults if there are faults. There aren't any. And and we don't need to pretend that there are qualities if there aren't. There really are. We don't have to do that. It's not like we're looking for, in the Lama, we're not looking for some sort of thing that's the quality or the fault. We're not looking for the Lama as the thing. It's the instructions that the Lama can give us. And so we look, when we look at the Lama straightforwardly, we look clearly and honestly at the Lama, how is the Lama equal to it? It's not that the Lama has all these great qualities of the Buddha in terms of the qualities of the body or the speech, but it's the instructions of the Lama that are so important. It's these instructions that the Buddha taught with his own words. And we can hear these instructions that the Buddha taught from our Lamas. And so when the Lama gives us instructions, these are the instructions that the Buddha gave. And so in this way, we receive these instructions for the Lama, and that is how the Lama is equal to the Buddha. And so in that way, the Lama is equal to the Buddha. Excuse me. And then we say that the Lama is even superior to the Buddha. And does this mean that the Lama has greater quality than the Buddhas? Then, well, it doesn't really mean that. But when we talk about a Lama, or we talk about a spiritual friend, in the Jewel Ornament of Liberation by Gampopa, there are said to be 4 types of spiritual friend. There is the spiritual friend who is the Sambhogakaya, the enjoyment body. There is the Supreme Nirmanakaya. There is the spiritual friend who is the Bodhisattva on the high levels, and there is the Bodhisattva who is an ordinary individual. And so, of these 4 different types of spiritual friends, the one who has the most blessing and the most power is the individual spiritual friend. And why is this? Well, of course, all those great beings have all the qualities. But even though they have those qualities, we cannot actually meet them. But we can meet the Lamas who are the ordinary individuals. We can receive the instructions from them. And because we can receive these instructions, they are far better than to us and far kinder to us. This is how the Lama is better than the Buddha, how the Lama is even more kind to the Buddha for us. And so when we say that the Lama is superior to the Buddha, that is what we mean. And so if we supplicate the Lama with one-pointed faith, we have great faith and devotion. And if we do Guru Yoga for the Lama, then the Lama really is this root of the blessings. And so that is how we do this practice. Then there is the root of accomplishment, which is the Yidam deity. And we say the root of accomplishment, or the root of Siddhi. What is it that we mean when we say the Yidam deity? Yidam deity means that we make a commitment, a damcha in Tibetan, yidam, we make a commitment with our mind. It is a mental commitment. And then the accomplishment or the siddhi is that when we do the practice, we actually gain something, that we actually can attain the result. And so the root of attaining that result is the Yidam deity. And so the root of accomplishment is the Yidam deity. Now, when we do Dharma practice, of course, we practice the Dharma. And so this is why often when we talk about the Dharma, we say that we go for refuge to the Dharma as the path. It is the path that we practice. But the Dharma is really vast. There are 84,000 different aggregates of the Dharma. Can we practice all of those? We can't. Do we need to practice all of those? We don't need to. If we practice one Dharma and we practice that one Dharma as much as we can, that's fine. That is enough. And so we make the mental commitment to one Yidam deity, and we can practice that deity in the creation phase. We can do the development phase practices of that deity, and so we make that mental commitment to one Yidam deity, or maybe to a few Yidam deities. We practice them, and we meditate upon their creation and completion phases. And so when we do that, whether we do the self-visualization of ourselves as the deity, or we do a frontal visualization of the deity in front, we meditate upon the deities in that form. And through that, we are able to receive the blessings of the deity ourselves. We are able to accomplish the great benefit for others, and to help bring peace and happiness to the world. And so we recite the mantra and we do the practice, and through this we eventually come to the ultimate result. And so whether we actually come to the ultimate result now, or whether we gradually, slowly go a little bit towards that and gradually, eventually come to that ultimate result, that is the accomplishment of the ultimate result. So we do this practice of the Yidam deity as the root of accomplishment. And so in this way, it is like one aspect of the Dharma. The third root is the root of activities, the Dharma protectors. And so in the secret mantra Vajrayana, we have these Dharma protectors. And so in general, when we are practicing the Dharma, we have the companions who go down with us who go down the path with us. Now, in the general terms of refuge, this is the Sangha. We go to refuge to the Sangha as the jewel who are our companions on the path. So when we are practicing the Dharma, these are the friends who help get rid of when we have any obstacles, they help us to dispel those obstacles. When we need to get more favorable conditions, they help assemble these favorable conditions. And so they're the people who give us advice, they help us, and in many ways. And so when we don't know something, they help us learn that. When we know something, then they help us increase our knowledge. When we aren't able to do any practice, they help us become able to do that. And when we need to develop our practice, they help us develop the practice. And so this is the jewel of the Sangha. And so the main Sangha, the main actual thing, are those companions that we actually have right now. So this is the jewel of the Sangha. But it's not just all those people that we see right now. There are also all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas who can be companions to us. And so if we have difficulties, they can help dispel these difficulties. They can help us assemble all the favorable conditions. And so they can be our companions in this way. So they can see us with their compassions. And so in this way we can exhort them, we can ask them for help, we can ask them please to get rid of any obstacles to help us accomplish things. And so we can ask them. Sometimes these Dharma protectors take wrathful forms. They take a wrathful form as a way to subdue our hatred and anger. Or they might take peaceful forms as a way to subdue our desire and ignorance. So there are male Dharma protectors, there are female Dharma protectors. And so there are many different of these forms. And so we then do the practice for them, and we give them, we exhort them to their activity, we make offerings, we offer them some little small offerings, such as making a torma offering, or a serkyem, which is a little tea offering, or what would we say, sort of a golden oblation offering, you could translate it as. And so we basically were asking them, please help me get rid of these obstacles, please help me get what I need to do my practice. And that's how we exhort them. And so in this way, these great bodhisattvas who are manifesting in these forms as Dharma protectors can help us get rid of any obstacles and accomplish what we need. And so in this way, they are the root of activity, the Dharma protectors. And so when we practice the Dharma of the secret mantra Vajrayana, there is the creation stage and the completion stage practice. And so in the Mahayoga practices, we primarily do the creation stage practices. Does this mean that we don't do completion phase practices? It doesn't mean that. But what it means is that mainly you do a few completion stage practices, but the main path is the creation phase, the generation of pure appearance and pure perception, and to develop the wisdom of the creation phase. And so for that is the main focus of the Mahayoga, primarily doing the creation phase. And then there is the Anu Yoga, which is in the middle of page 13. The Anu Yoga, which emphasizes the completion stage. And so the Anu Yoga and the Ati Yoga, the other two, the Anu Yoga and Ati Yoga, primarily emphasize the completion stage. So does this? So these two primarily do the completion phase. Does this mean that they don't do the creation phase? It does not mean that. They do some creation phase practices, but the main part of the practice is the completion stage practice. And so the practices of the completion phase primarily have two different types. There are those that have attributes and that have focus or reference points, and those that do not have attributes or reference. And so here the Anu Yoga, which emphasizes the completion stage, thoroughly establishes that from the very beginning, all phenomena are distinct but awakened as the essence of the three mandalas. The mandala of the unborn. There's an extra that there. The mandala of the unborn expanse, free of all elaborations, that has been primordially Samantabhadri as she is. The mandala of the perceiving object, self-arisen wisdom, the nature of the spontaneously present Samantabhadra, and the bodhicitta mandala of the indivisibility of these two, the child, the root of great bliss. And so here we have the Dharma expanse and wisdom. We have these two. And when these arise in the form of the pure deities, we have Samantabhadra and Samantabhadri. So Samantabhadra is the male deity, Samantabhadri is the female deity. So the expanse, the Dharma expanse, the empty Dharma expanse arises in the form of Samantabhadri, the primordial female deity. And the wisdom aspect appears as Samantabhadra. And so these two have been, and then the union of these two is the child, the root of great bliss. So this is the bodhicitta mandala of great bliss. So these are the three mandalas of Samantabhadra, Samantabhadri, and the union of the child of bodhicitta of great bliss. And so how is it that these have been? How is it that they're present? Well, they have been very present from the very beginning. So from the very beginning, all phenomena are distinct but awakened as the essence of these three mandalas. So this is how it is. And so this is not just something that comes out from the power of the it comes from the power of the creation phase, but the main practice is that we work with all that practices. Whatever occurs is taken as the path of the completion phase, as it says. So whatever occurs, everything that happens, that we use to take the practices of the completion phase. And these practices of the completion phase are the practices such as the 6 yogas of Naropa, which emphasize the channels, winds, and the drops, or the essences. And so here, this yoga asserts, in the text it says, this yoga asserts that one must restrain the aspect of ordinary confused perception into the expanse by focusing on the points of the channels, winds, and drops in one's own body. So we focus on the channels, winds, and drops, and we can do this through the exercises of the yogas, such as the 6 yogas of Naropa, or we can also do it through the, in a simple way, in an easy way, we can do this through the 7 points of Virochan in our body. When we're working with our body, we're working with the channels and the winds within the body, and so we're working with the channels, wind, and the drops. As it is said, when the body is straight, the channels are straight. When the channels are straight, then the winds are straight. And when the winds are straight, then the mind also goes straight. So working with the 7 points of Vairochana, the 7 points of the posture, is a way of working with, short way of working with the channels and winds within our body. But if we want to do the more extensive practices, then we do the various exercises in the yoga practices, and we really emphasize and focus upon the points of the channels and winds and so forth. And so yesterday we mentioned how when Patmo Drupa went to the great Sakya master, Kunga Nyingpo told Patmo Drupa that the root of samsara is the winds not having entered the central channel of the body. And that is actually how it is. It really is like this, because when you do the yogas and you bring the winds into the central channel of the body, then it is a method to develop the excellent realization very quickly. So when we do the practice of this, we often do a 3-year retreat, the retreat for 3 years and three moon phases. We work with the channels and the winds. We do the meditations of the 6 yogas of Naropa. We do the visualization phases, and if we can practice like that, we can develop realization, which can become very stable and very clear. Our practice can become very good. This is a very beneficial thing to do and a wonderful thing to do. But sometimes people think, well, I really need to practice the Dharma, but I can't do the 3 years. I just can't do that. Does that mean that I can't practice the Dharma at all? It does not mean that at all. No matter how much Dharma practice you do, whatever amount of Dharma you practice do is really helpful and really wonderful and very great. But there is this special tradition that we have. It's a tradition where we can actually get all the things we need to do the practice together. If you're able to do that, then it is important to do this. But if the conditions don't happen, if you're not able to do that, then you can practice as much as you can. So if you think, oh, I can't do any Dharma practice if I don't do the 3-year retreat. Is that how it is? It isn't like that. You should just do as much practice as you can. There's nothing wrong with that in any way. And so, in this way, these are how we do these practices of the completion phase of the Anu Yoga. So next comes the Ati Yoga, which is without duality of creation and completion. But that's enough for this morning's session. So now today is the last day. So we're going to do some meditation. And you must have good faith and good devotion because today is the last session.